Murtuza, will start the questions with you. From your perspective, what's the good, bad, and the ugly of in the budget 25?
Thank you, Nista. I had used that framework previously, which came from a famous Clint Eastwood movie called The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, but some people had misconstrued. So it's a good framework of thinking about it. The first thing that I would like to suggest is that, the budget was very readable. So I've been reading budgets for the last 20 years, and I'm talking about the English version. There was some method to it. There was a very good structure. You can see that there was logical thinking in the whole process. The other thing is the ideological orientation. Even when I went through it, it seems to have many elements of the market system. So they are talking about competition, foreign trade, free trade, trade agreements, exports, industrial zones. And I also fed the budget into three large language models, DeepSeek, OpenAI, and Google's Genie. And all of them kind of gave the same response that, it has elements of the market system. And why I am talking about this is that there is still a misconception about the ideological orientation of this government. Because obviously the main partner, JVP, had a very leftist Marxist orientation many years ago. There are still doubts, but it's very clear that both from the manifesto, which I had to analyze, and also the budget, that this seems to be a very centrist. So the question you're asking is left, right, or center. I would think that my view was it was right of center, right? Which is a very welcoming sight for people like myself who make a living out of the capital market, who lead a think tank called Advocata, which believes in the market system and advocates for the market system. The other good things is, right at the annexure, the laws, the procurement law. I think the president spent an enormous amount of time in the Q&A talking about corruption, and a procurement law is a key legislation because in Sri Lanka, many business people make money by doing business with the government. And doing business with the government should not be a highly profitable endeavor. So the procurement law will hopefully make a more competitive and transparent tender. The SOE law, I spent 2 years volunteering on the SOE restructuring committee, and it is a great thing that they have recognized the need to set up a SOE holding company where many of these commercial enterprises will be moved into that. There's a statistics law. Also, the president said about reducing cash in circulation. Just to give you a figure, it's 1.4 trillion. And if you take it as a proportion of the deposits, it's about 15 to 20% of all deposits outstanding. So if you get a subset of that money back into the banking system, that will create more loanable funds and reduce the interest rates. There is also acknowledgement that we need the bankruptcy law. And there was also a kind of positive growth-oriented tone. The bad is that they said that, okay, we are going to go with a tariff committee, but I did not see any reversals of CES and PAL. The CES is an acronym, Commodity Export Subsidy Scheme. It is actually coming from the EDB Act of the 1970s. And it was mainly there to promote value-added exports. So the CES was supposed to collect taxes on exports. But if you look at the forecast for CES, 95% of the CES is on imports, which is highly protectionist, what you call a para-tariff. And of course, the PAL also is only applicable on imports. So previously, the plan was to sunset these and go on a broad-based VAT system. But I did not see any specifics in the budget about winding down this CES and PAL. I do understand that the government needs revenue, but when you put CES, it's highly distortionary. So because in one end, the president is talking about competition, not appealing to private interests, free trade, exports, but you can't protect imports. The second thing bad was that not sunsetting tax holidays. I've jumped on Duminda a number of times. It's a pet peeve of mine. It's a very simple argument. I'm paying taxes at 36. My companies are paying taxes at 30. Dividends is taxed at 15. Why are some people not paying? If you read Animal Farm, they say all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal. So what is so special about these people? When your country has defaulted on its debt, it has restructured the debt of the EPF, it has had 70% inflation. Why are these agreements so sacrosanct? So I would have thought that a government with a 70% mandate would have simply said, thank you, you enjoyed it for this period of time. From this date onwards, we are going to sunset all of this, or you're going to pay a minimum alternate tax. that did not happen, including they should not be giving these vehicle permits basically. Because if I'm paying, I don't know, 250% tax on a vehicle, why should somebody else get a concession? The ugly, I have to be careful with this word ugly, there are two things. And it came across on many forums. This tax appeal commission having to put 25% cash on tax appeal seems to be a bad piece of legislation. Because the right to appeal is fundamental even in our constitution. And there are lots of pushbacks on taxpayer rights, or tax ombudsman, a taxpayer charter, because many people are complaining, including myself, that the tax department sometimes is harassing the people who are paying taxes, etc. So the government has to really think through this mechanism to go after the people who are not paying taxes, but also give some reasonable reprieve to people who are paying, that they are not going to be harassed. And again, the president kept on talking about corruption, and when you have this, it makes the tax assessor in a very powerful position to induce you. The second thing is that why it's an oxymoron. Why do you have 30,000 jobs for unemployed graduates? I mean, why should a graduate be unemployed? So is this a problem of the education system? And why should the government say that I'm going to give employment to people who can't get employed? Now, if there are vacancies in the government, fair enough, that you need to recruit people, especially at the middle level and upper level, because maybe the bottom is heavy. But why do you need to employ unemployed graduates? So that is, in summary, is my comments, Nista.
Okay.